this retirement game. The next thing that affects your retirement, of course, is your interest rate. It affects how long you're going to have income in retirement, how much you can spend. So you need to be selective at all phases of your retirement planning. The next thing you need to look at is longevity. How long do you think you're going to live? In your family, do people live to be 95 or do they only live to be in their early 80s? This affects your entire plan because if you are going to live to be 95, you're going to need a lot more money than someone who is not going to make it that long. And it's hard to plan if you're an outlier. You know what I mean? If you aren't typical of your family, you eat better, you don't smoke, you don't drink, you exercise, you have different habits than most of your relatives, you could conceivably be an outlier. About 25% of our current 65-year-olds will reach the age of 90. 10% are predicted to reach the age of 95. So you can see how you need to plan for more years than you might have maybe planned for before. And here are some of the key errors that people make in planning. One is healthcare costs and having a license to sell healthcare and having just come off of open enrollment for Medicare that ended in December, I can tell you there are a lot of people that are really upset about how much their healthcare and their healthcare premiums cost. So you need to really do your research about that because if you overlook those costs, you will be sacrificing either your standard of living or your health care. Either one of those is a really big sacrifice. The next thing people don't look out for is long term care. About 70% of people will need some sort of long term care. And there's a 91% chance that at least one person in a couple will need it. And usually that person is the surviving spouse. The first spouse gets taken care of by the second spouse. They don't always need to go to a home or have assisted living. But the second spouse, they get left alone and oftentimes they need assisted living. So you want to be very careful to make sure that you insure against that risk with long-term care insurance. It's not as expensive as you think it is, and let me tell you, it can really save your retirement nest egg. And the other error in planning, of course, we touched on briefly, was bad investments. Be very selective, review it often, and if you're working with an investment professional that is not telling you how much you're going to be able to use every year in retirement and how many years that's going to last, you may need to look for a different one. And if you have someone that tells you you're fine in the market, it's doing gangbusters, but you're only seeing a net return of maybe 3, 4, or 5% in the last 5 years, you definitely need somebody different. I'm not telling you you need me. I'm not licensed to do securities, but I'm telling you, you need to look, you need to learn, you need to watch what's going on. It's your money, it's your retirement. Now, can you insure your retirement income? Yes, in some ways you can. So I make plans often who do just that for people. That I can do. I have one client who's only allowed to live to be 101 and a half. Otherwise, he has to go on a stricter budget. He told me he was really good with that. But you need to have a risk management plan for your retirement. First and foremost, do you have a plan? And secondly, is it written down? And third, are you saving weekly or monthly? 74% of people who have a plan say they feel prepared for retirement, but 44% of people who don't have a plan feel prepared. Don't you want to be in that 74%? Don't you think it would be a relief to feel like you're prepared? So, yeah, okay, get a plan. Now let's do quick Social Security updates, okay? When, how much, what are the loopholes, who closed them, when did they close, that kind of thing. For 2020, The maximum monthly Social Security benefit, that's if you apply for Social Security and you start getting it at full retirement age for 2020, the maximum amount is $3,790. All right. Oh, no, that's age 70. Sorry. At age 70. So if you're turning 70 in 2020 and you qualify for the maximum payout, that's $3,790 a month. Now, if you qualify for the maximum payout, that means you're pretty much accustomed to making somewhere around $125,000 a year. 3790 times 12 is nowhere near $150,000. You see where you're going to need to have some savings here? Now, for someone at full retirement age for 2020, the maximum amount is $3,011 per month. And for someone who decides I'm out of here, I'm going early, I'm going to file at age 62, the maximum amount is $2,265. Again, it's going to be hard to live on that for the rest of your life if you don't have some other backup stuff too. Now, increased payments. So if you retire and you start your Social Security at age 70, that higher payment stays that way for the rest of your life. If you cut and run early and you take that payment at 62, that payment stays the same other than cost of living adjustments for the rest of your life. Whoever started the rumor that says you can collect from 62 and then at full retirement age it goes up, that is a rumor. It is not correct. So if you were 62 by January 1 of 2016, there was a thing called spousal privilege. That is no longer available as of 5/1 of 16. You had to be 62 by 1/1 of 16. So the people who post on social media that say you can still do that, they're also all wet. That loophole closed in 2016. So I use a decision tree and really careful calculations to help people decide if early retirement is right for them. But I also did a two-part show on it a while back called Is Retiring at 62 Right for You? You can look that up and listen to it again. It should be in the player. Just keep scrolling down until you see it. Now, if you take your Social Security at 62 to help make ends meet, or if you save it up for later on, you're going to be taxed on half of your of the Social Security if you have earnings in addition to your Social Security. So what I'm saying is, say you're 62 and you still work somewhere. If you earn more than 25,000 to 34,000, you're going to pay income taxes on up to half of those Social Security benefits, okay? Now, if your combined income was more than 34,000, you're going to pay taxes on up to 85% of your Social Security benefits. So I want you to be aware of this because they don't withhold taxes to my knowledge. And there you'd be on April 15th with someone looking at you going, how would you like to pay your tax bill? Will you ride a truck or do you want to put it on your Visa card? This is not a good question. So be prepared. You also have to have a 35-year work history of contributions. For Medicare Part A, you need 40 quarters of work history to qualify. And work history is where you paid into the system. So here's another social media myth reduced to ashes. If you are a legal immigrant, you have to live here more than 5 years to even begin to meet the criteria to qualify for Medicare. Just saying. Do the research. Now, quick summary. At age 62, if you take your Social Security, you get a reduced retirement amount, and it stays that way for life. At your full retirement age, whatever that is, you get 100% of your retirement amount, and it stays that way for life. And it depends on what year you were born as to what year your full retirement age is. At age 70, you get an increased retirement amount, and it stays there for life. But you don't get a cash bonus of prior funds. That was discontinued in 2016 as well. Now, spousal Social Security has a different set of rules, and it doesn't do any good to wait until you're 70 to claim it. All the good loopholes closed when? Yep, you guessed it, 2016. Now, let's review. We only have a couple minutes, we got a few seconds. When you need to start saving for retirement. When you get your first job, that's when. Oh, I'm sorry, I shouted. If you only save $200 per month from the age of 25 on, you'll have close to $1.5 million saved by age 65. Now, if you wait until you're 40 to start saving, you have to put away $4,200 a month to hit that same $1.5 million. And if you forgot and you wait till you're 50, you need to put away $6,250 to have $1.5 million saved. Now, all I got to say for you is wow, 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 and wow. That power of compounding interest is amazing. So if you or someone you know, your kid, your grandkid, your great grandkid is 25, clue them in. Tuck away $200 a month. You will never miss it. And if you don't know where to tuck it to keep it safe and sound, just call me. I'll tell you. I'll figure it out. I'll help you. Use this information to your advantage while you're still able. But I urge you to get started on the basics no matter how old you are right away. In addition to saving for your retirement, you need to insure yourself against a shortfall by looking at certain insurances, investments, and or annuity products. Now, while you're at it, do what you're good at and do it well. Do it with joy and you'll have a good life. Save for your retirement and start young and you'll retire much more happily. Now you know what I'm going to say before I say it. Be grateful and you will attract good things. Until next time, I'm Ronda Cobb, the Money Coach.